Test, test, test. Hello, hello. Hello. Come through. Thank you.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Brand new show this week. All kind of stuff. I just last week was a rerun. This week, brand new show. Just flew in today. Just talking to Rick. I just landed, drove straight here from the airport. So we're getting it done today. Lots of great stuff going on. Actually wrote the show on the airplane on the way here. So, and really the big news is we'll talk about the brand new market numbers in. They're still good, which is good. They're all over the place. Kind of interesting to say the least, because some parts are up, some are down. We'll talk about what they really stacked up last month. Those are closed deals kind of on the heels when things jumped up early this spring, summer with lower interest rates. We have huge news interest rate this week, which is good news overall. They were at let's say a long-term high, and then they went back down to a 4-week low today, which is awesome. And that comes on the news of some inflation data and some things that came out. So we'll talk about that, but good news right now for sure. And then also, I was actually tracking some stuff on the plane too. The Fed data, before we had 80% plus chance of Fed rate hikes going forward in 2 of the 3 different Fed meetings the rest of the year. Now those numbers have come down a little bit, which is great news on the heels of the inflation data that came out most recently, which I don't believe based on what I've seen in my life, but I believe there's some manipulation there. But bottom line, it's affected the bond market and it's made rates come down. And hopefully we see that may stay that way, because it was looking brutal for the fourth quarter. We'll talk about that, what that means. I'll talk about something that is probably not my number one question I get right now from everyone in public. I got it from the guy, the Dunes Club the other day. One of the chefs there, he asked me the same exact question. Of our clients or potential clients ask us this. And the question is, should I rent my house out, right? Especially houses that haven't sold. A lot of people are asking, hey, should I just rent it out? And I'll talk about the nuances. And it really depends on the situation. And I have a lot of experience doing this 20 years. I'll talk about some things I've seen, some of the horror stories. But there's basically kind of like a mathematical formula based on what you have, based on what type of property you have. There is some significant damages. I've seen $40,000, $50,000 plus on like regular type houses. I just shared like a crazy horror story with some people on our team last night in the group where it was total disaster from the tenants, and like the refrigerators tipped over. So there could be a risk of that. Also the tax implication that we'll talk about. So I'll break that down for you for sure. And it just all depends on the math, right? On how much you owe, what your monthly payment is, what your cash flow would be, what your potential negative cash flow could be. So we'll kind of break that down for you as well. And also another one, that if you're selling luxury home, why right now is a really good time. And the numbers are absolutely shocking in terms of how luxury is performing right now nationally across the country. We've been talking about here on this show for a long time. And I just did an interview this week with the Post and Courier, should be out this next week, about what we're seeing in luxury home market, where the luxury homes are outperforming, traditional homes in a very, very big way, especially for us here in Myrtle Beach, where a lot of people from Northeast are coming in town. A lot of people are selling their larger priced properties up north, coming down here. Also liquidating some stock portfolio things, where I think S&P had a new high yesterday. And so we'll kind of talk about that, what to see there. Some amazing success stories we'll talk about, but really the same thing we're doing every week on this show for 16 plus years now, is help keep you updated, everything real estate related, so you can make better decisions. For most people, the real estate's our largest asset. And so I want to help you kind of guide you. I want you to have a pulse on what's happening. So if you ever want to come back and watch these, definitely do it. We stream on YouTube. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio Show. Follow me on Facebook at Blake Sloan. You can follow Sloan Realty Group. Streaming at LinkedIn, pretty much everywhere. But if you do anything, just make sure to kind of stay tuned. Lots of great stuff on today's show.
Just to give you an update on just who Blake is, it's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work, and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly, and a quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Yes, Rick. And this is really just the DNA behind the show, why we do what we do. We have another previous horror story this week that came from someone who trusted the person they talk with, who bought or were trying to buy another property in North Carolina. And guess what? The person didn't actually follow through with it, left them hanging, really potentially getting stuck with 2 properties. And so it's crazy. This the number one thing that we notice in just real estate we see over and over and over is that people make this massive mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And it could be any further from the truth, right? It's a human business, and it's much more nuanced or different than any type of business you see otherwise. And there's 2 main reasons. Number one, it's a very long sales cycle, which means there's a lot of things that have to happen in the sales cycle to get it to the finish line, right? From a marketing standpoint to getting traffic in, how you basically follow up with the traffic. Then you got to get the contract, and you got to basically do the whole appraisal, inspection, all that process. So it takes 60 days, right? And so there's a lot of things that go good, and that's if it goes under contract. And so the second part of that has to do with humans. And so if you have one single human that is doing everything, it's impossible for them to execute all those at a high level. And just like any restaurant, right? Sometimes you go to a restaurant, have a great experience, you go back to that same restaurant, have not a good experience. The difference typically is the humans and how well they execute. Or let's say you go to different types of restaurants and you get a different experience, different one, right? Similar process. Let's talk about fast food, right? Go to Burger King, you get one experience. You go to Chick-fil-A, different experience, right? Fast food, a little bit different food, same processes, but the execution is way different, right? Your experience is way different. Your outcome's way different. And so the reality is the same exact thing on steroids for your largest asset. And so people realize is the single most important variable that determines your success or failure as a home seller comes down to one thing only. That thing is the agent you choose, period, right? Nothing else matters besides the agent, not your wall color, not the time of the year you list your property, not the colors of the wall, not how clean it is. It comes down to the agent you choose and how well they actually execute. What most people don't realize, there's 118 different variables from A to Z when you're selling a property that if each one's handled correctly, it puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. If they drop the ball at any point, and that could be anything from pricing strategy. Typically, the biggest one you see is quality of the photos. Number 2, I see order of the photos. Like, for example, a lot of agents don't understand marketing or psychology. They'll put the first 7 photos of the outside of the house. Guess what? You already lost buyer attention. They're searching by elimination. You have hundreds and hundreds you're competing against, really thousands you're competing against, but really hundreds in their specific search. And what happens is they skip yours. And so people don't even know it. So you got to track those numbers, understand marketing, understand psychology of how buyers search. And so all those nuances matter. And that's assuming that you get somebody to bring a contract. And then that's when the real work starts, right? How well they negotiate the contract, how well they negotiate contingencies. All those things matter for you. And so the single most important variable we talk about is the agent you choose, where people just look at agents as a commodity, could not be any further. Just like I mentioned earlier, doctor, lawyer, very similar process, right? You have a crime I didn't commit. Last thing I want is a part-time attorney who's only tried a few cases, right? I want the absolute most amazing, detail-oriented, aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law, who has experience in that courtroom, because I know if that's the case, I get amazing competitive advantage in that process, right? Same exact thing here with us. And people don't realize the average agent in our marketplace, I was selling to people that's at the conference I was at, it's a big like business men's conference group where it's business guys from all across the country, insurance agency owners, people who sell rocks to the government are in there, like all kind of crazy businesses. And we were to talk about that. We were in a breakout group, and I was the average agent sells 4 homes per year. They were like blown away, like that's crazy. And they had no clue, right? Most consumers have no idea that the person who's handling your largest assets statistically only sold 4 in the whole year, which is crazy because there's not really much experience to know what's going on, not much from a pulsing standpoint to feel how aggressive you get in pricing. And obviously you don't know the details very, very well in a very complex, long situation when they're only doing 4 a year. It's crazy. Like you wouldn't get LASIK or open heart surgery from a guy who's only done 4 in the last 12 months, right? Now it's somebody who's doing it every day, all day, and who is really, really good at what they do. And you should demand the same level of excellence for your largest asset. And so when I got in the business really 20 years ago now, I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. It was the old school model. Everyone was really doing everything themselves. And so you have one agent who's juggling all those 118 different balls. It's impossible to be good at it's impossible to be good at all of them at the same time. And so what you have is that they just get the squeaky wheel, right? They'll basically do the 3 Ps. They promise we'll get the listing. Number 2, put it in MLS, and 3, pay someone else brings a buyer. And so that model used to work in the 80s, 90s, no longer. And so I designed this thing called the guaranteed sold system. The only proven system is almost twice as fast for 20% more money than traditional methods, and it works amazingly well. We back it up with 2 main things: a large team of people, 30 plus people. We have an inside sales team, an outside sales team, buyers agents who help buyers, listing specialists who help listings, closing coordinators, all kind of listing coordinators, virtual. We have a graphic designer, video editing. I mean, all this stuff that helps to make sure everyone is firing all cylinders, executing what they're really good at. So now you have someone who's a true expert. We call it a specialist versus a generalist who's trying to do everything. And most generalists don't execute at a high level because they're trying to do everything, right? And so when you're talking about your largest asset, you want somebody who has all those details managed proactively. And so how we do that is we're able to sell properties faster and for more money with a proven repeatable system. And that's that guaranteed total system. For buyers out there, guess what? 100 plus variables when you buy. And so if that agent handles them correctly, saves you money, get the property you want. If one single agent is doing all those balls and they're only selling about 4 houses a year, you can bet they're probably not going to be the highest execution at what they do. And so for buyers out there, the Unfair Advantage home buying system gets you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as a home inspection to get you that closing table successfully to get the most amount of money in your pocket. And so here's the crazy part. A lot of people are like, man, that's a lot. They don't really understand. They're super skeptical. So what I did is I was like, look, let's put all this in a documentary. Let's pull back the curtains and really expose the real estate industry. Here's what most people do. Here's how things operate. And a lot of people got pissed about that and how we did that. And so I actually put that documentary up right now on our website. You can check it out. It's at blakesloan.com. It's like 27 minutes, but it really shows everything. If you're anywhere in the country, if you're watching this online, if you're here listening locally, if you own a property anywhere else, you want to see this because it exposes how the industry works. We talk about tests and surveys in there where this company called 3,000 real estate brokerages in North America. Guess what? Less than half the time they got an answer or even called back from the agent. So think about that. If 100 buyers call your property, which is not likely for most people, only 50 even got answered or called back. So think about how crazy that is. People try to buy your property in many cases, but the agent's so busy or so slack, they didn't even call them back. And it's not that the agent's evil. It's that they're just too busy juggling all the balls, right? That they get busy and don't have time to do all that. And so that's what the system solves. That's what the documentary shows. And everyone's blown away once they see that. So take a look at that, blakesloan.com. We'll take a quick break right back here in a second.
Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Thanks for joining me today. You know, a lot of people may be thinking about selling their home, but they want to make sure they're getting the most money possible. What options do you have available to make selling a home easier?
Hey, Sean, we have 3 unique and innovative options for home sellers right now. First, we have a program for maximum convenience, where I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars looking to buy homes at a fair price in the Myrtle Beach Grand Strand area. Or we have a program for maximum speed, where I can match your property up with over 100,000 plus active home buyers looking to buy properties here on the Grand Strand. Or 3, maximum value. We have a proven system. They'll sell your home twice as fast and for 5 to 15% more money than traditional methods.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, pay cash for your home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more,
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it to the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get the home sold on your terms.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, Real Estate Show. Brand new market updates. All kind of interesting stuff happening. It's still good news overall, which is pretty cool. So I'll take that. Again, it's on the heels of like everything's delayed if you look at closed numbers, right? So this on the heels of rates being low. If you remember, let's say last January, February, things were really slow. Then March, you start late February, early March, started seeing rates go down. It really kind of ran into that spring. Once the war started, rates started to climb up. Then recently, last month it got up towards 7. I think it was 6.87, 6.88. And so that's something we saw happen. And obviously it slows new sales down a little bit. So we'll talk about that overall, but it's performed decent in terms of closed deals. So you got to think, we'll talk about the rear view mirror numbers. Those are ones that closed last month. Decent. They're up 13.1% year over year. Month versus month, they're down a little bit. So for example, June was the highest it's been since June 2022, which is crazy, right? 4-year difference there, which is amazing. There's 639 properties that closed this month, down a little bit month versus month at 604, but it's much higher than it was last year, particularly up 13% from the same month last year. I was just doing some research on it. The last time there was that many, 604 was August 2022. And so June was pretty much the highest we saw That was matching last month. And so that's something very similar. Is a little bit seasonal. You start to see it slow down a little bit after the season. So we'll watch see what that happens. I think you'll probably see it drop pretty quickly just because I watched new pending deals and what happens. And that has to just do with a longer sales cycle on the back end. So we'll talk about that in a second. If you look at price for single family resale homes, the price is actually flat. One of the first times I've seen that very, very long time. So for example, it's 0.0 change year over year. So we'll take it right now, $400,000 even for median price. So the exact price it was the same time last year. If you look here at average price is up, right? That could be skewed by some bigger, larger ones. We're seeing some big time properties come in, up 6.6% year over year at 529,000, 685,000. So that's great news. Last month was 505, month before that, 488. So it's recovering pretty well. The lowest we saw this whole year was in March. March is at 479. So a significant jump between March at 479 to July, which is at 529. So a big jump there, which is good. Look at supply, which is how many homes are on the market right now, 4.9 months of inventory. It's down from last year at 7.5%. Sorry, 7.5% decline from last year, which is good. It's better for sellers because it was creeping up overall. December, it hit a low, which is typical. People take their property off the market for the Christmas time and the holidays. And so 4.4 months in December has climbed up consistently. It kind of peaked out between May and June. May and June were at 5.1 months. So is April. So there's 3 months in a row at 5.1 right now, 4.9. So it's going down on the heels of basically some stuff expiring and also some properties that you saw going to contract, which is good. Right now, the average days on market for a single family home that actually sells is 107. So that's good news. It's actually down from where it was previous month was 110. And then the highest this year is 123 back in February. So the main two numbers I watch the most are showings per listing. So right now, the average listing only gets 3.4 showings per listing, down 8%. So they're getting less buyer traffic right now last month. And obviously that's more of a real-time number, right? So that's why that's why I watch the real-time numbers too. If you look at how many showings it takes to get a contract, it takes 9 on the dot. And that's for median. If you look at average though, it takes 12.0. So if you look at the average, right? The average listing showing per listing 3.4, but it takes 12 to get a showing. You need 4 times. So think about 400% more showings than you're actually getting on the average listing. This is the most important thing. If you take anything, why your property didn't sell, why the agent you choose matters, because yes, price plays a part, but also so does your exposure. So does how they market the property. So does how your agent follows back up, right? And so I can't sell the property in the ad. But what I can do is make the ad look so good that a lot of people see it and they click the button to show it. That's like all I can do. So I've really obsessed with it over the years. Like, look, I want the absolute best photos I can get, professional photography. I want to turn the colors up a little bit to make them a little bit brighter so that I can get people to click the button. So if you're getting 100,000 views online, I increase the click-through rate by 10 or 15%. You're talking a lot of extra people who are pushing through that. And that's the numbers I watch for as well. I'll make sure to order the photos. I want pictures 2, 3, and 4 to be super enticing, to be able to bring buyers in there. I want them to sell them looking at the rest of the photos. So those are things that we do that you want to increase the showings, and that adds up over time. But the biggest equation problem is the average listing in the MLS is sitting there. What we call the stagnant mass. It only gets 3.4 showings the entire time is listed, which is 1 showing every other month. The problem is you take on average, it takes 12.0. And that's assuming you have pretty good, curb appeal. If the curb appeal is not good, right, needs some work, some updates, not exactly spotless, right, it may take 15 to 20 showings. It all depends on the condition, how likable it is, things like that as well. So in the condos very similar right now in terms of what they're seeing across the board. Condo sales up 12.7% year over year. They're down month versus month. And so, for example, this past month, there was 408 condos that closed. Month before that, 436. Month before that, 462. It actually peaked out in May, where the single family homes, they peaked out in June. For sales price, it's actually down for average sale price, only 0.3% at 259,000 even. For median price right now, down 4.3% year over year at 220,000. So you're seeing it bounce around a little bit, right? We saw a huge kind of run in some condos early this year. There's still a lot of hesitation, still a lot of worries. It all is very nuanced too, based on condo tel on the ocean, which have some higher HOAs, things like that. But they also have gotten pretty affordable for some places to other areas. Like we bought one a couple months ago in River Oaks, and that was part of investment fund. And the prices there are just falling like a rock right now. You're just seeing every new listing is undercutting the other one and undercutting the other one. It's kind of crazy to see that. And so again, that also is nuanced where it's particularly a short-term rental, the golf course closed. And so you're seeing different things based on where it's at. So you don't want to just group condos all together. Same problem though you're seeing there with showing per listing. The average condo only gets 1.8 showings per entire time it's listed, which is crazy. That's one showing every 3 months on average. If you look at how many it takes to get a contract, which is showings to pending, it takes 8.3. So 8.3 showings to get a contract, but you're only getting 1.8. And so you see the problem there. You need 400+% the amount of showings that the average listing gets. And so what do you take from that? You can't choose an average agent, right? You can't choose someone who's just your cousin's friend's bartender at Chili's and also doing real estate on the side, right? You got to get somebody who specializes in this, who's all in on this, who spends money behind it, and takes action to make phone calls like we do, doing 14,000 phone calls a week, matching up buyers and sellers. And so that's a key part there. We'll keep watching. We'll hop into what we call the windshield numbers. Hey, what's happening real time in terms of properties under contract? It's still holding off pretty good. Now, so my team, I think we got to run right till Labor Day, a little bit after that, where Q4 could be brutal based on what happens with interest rates. As it gets at or above 7%, it's like it comes to a dead stop. But right now, we're performing pretty well. The last 7 days, 523 properties under contract, 193,962. As you remember, right? Anybody's listened for a while, anything at 200 million or above is rocking and rolling. Or not. That's not too bad for this time of year. And what's crazy, you saw average price go down. For example, last week's show was 494 over 203 million. What's the difference? Much higher average sale price and a lot more higher end properties in last week's show that we saw. And this last week, one property at 4.5 million, Deverdew, another property 2.2 million in King Street. I was surprised at that. 26-acre property, nice estate there, is beautiful. That went under contract. 15 properties over $1 million, 97 properties over 500,000. So it's kind of a big difference there. If you go back to last week, there was one property of 5 million, 3 over 3 million, 20 over 1 million, and 121 over 500,000. So all the big ones were getting under contract last week. And so we'll keep watching that, right? Lots of stuff out there. We had one in Garden City under contract, 1.775. Another Grand Dunes Members Club, 1.56. Grand Dunes Villa Venezia, 1.549. So lots of big stuff still, just not as many as usual. So what's that mean? We're still seeing a lot of movement high end. I think, and we're talking about this in my company, the shoulder season, which is basically once kids are back in school, we see a different demographic. People who have double income, no kids, right? People who are a little bit more retired, they want to escape that craziness, busyness of the school area, right? When kids are here, traffic's here, Broadway's crowded. So they come more to shoulder seasons. They tend to have much higher average sale price. They tend to buy. And so that's something you're thinking about selling as a luxury client. It is a perfect time to do so. And anyone thinking about selling, I think it's super important right now to do before Q4, because it's very likely rates going to continue to go up much less than it was just 1 week ago. We'll talk about that in a second, but that's something to keep watching. Right now for interest rates, that's what's driving everything. Last week's show was 6.77, right now 6.69. So significant drop. Lowest we've seen over 4 weeks, which is awesome. 15-year fix right now, 6.26, 30-year jumbo loan, 6.83, a 30-year FHA loan, 6.28, and a 30-year VA loan, 6.29. And so lots of opportunity. We just had somebody this week that chose FHA over a 30-year fix because it was much lower in terms of rate, a little bit more fees up front, but you can ask for the seller to actually pay for that. And so that's what I'm gonna keep watching. How much time we got? 6 minutes. That's one thing that I'll kind of maybe skip that last break for now really quick. I just want to kind of hop into our hot buyers alert. That's one thing that we're really, really big on here. As you know, we spend a massive amount of money in just putting our money where our mouth is. And so we outspend the average agent 100-to-1 from a marketing standpoint, where a lot of times the old model where if I'm a single agent who's just juggling my ball. So for example, when I started out Coldwell Banker, it was me, 200 agents. They didn't care about us. We didn't care about them. And so the whole difference in a brand is really, there's only, if you ask any consumer, what's the difference between the blue company like Coldwell Banker or Century 21, or the only difference is how they pay their agents. That's it, right? There's no real, everyone's independent. There's not a machine behind it. What we created was an alignment where ours is a team brokerage where I do all the marketing, lead generation. We outspend the average agent 100-to-1 from a marketing standpoint, drive massive traffic, and work all in unison. That's how we move the levers and create more leverage for our clients. And so right now, working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers, looking at our properties here, the Myrtle Beach Grand Trenton area, anywhere from $250,000 to $6.6 million. If you're thinking about selling, give us a call, 843-808-SOLD. It's 843-808-SOLD. Been putting our money where our mouth is for a long time. Right now, active buyers with a username, password account on just one of our sites, which is our main MyrtleBeachRealEstateDeals.com site, 84,253 active home buyers, 84,253 active home buyers, like from all over the place. And so pulling up right now, I can watch them search in real time. This is one thing we show our clients when they call us. I got right here from Jamie Coomer from Kings Mountain. I got Rick Ellis right here from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got Carmen Christ from Charlottesville, Virginia. Locust, North Carolina. Gaston, South Carolina. Saskatchewan. That's pretty crazy there. I got Tawana, New York. Houston, Texas. Wayne, PA. Easton, PA. Charlotte, North Carolina. There we go. Belgium, Washington, Wisconsin. super cool there. LA, California. Mr. Edward is in LA right now. He searched 260 different properties overall, which is super cool. His average sale price is $533,000. So you've seen a lot. Another one, Ridgewood, New Jersey. Mr. James Riley is on there. He's been searching our site for a couple of years now. He's searching real time right now with the average sale price $360,000. He's looking at 344 properties. And so the reality is we have what we call buyers in waiting. So an average agent puts a sign on the ground, then starts trying to do work. We've been doing work for months and months and months and years before you ever call us. So when you call us, we have what we call buyers in waiting. We use our technology and our AI. We match up the most likely buyer for your property. And our team behind that actually makes the phone calls on top of that, make about 14,000 phone calls per week. And we're matching up buyers and sellers. And so we're able to move the needle and push it. And that increases demand, which sells properties for more money. And so if you want to see how it works, you'll absolutely blow your mind, reach out, call us, right? Call me right now, saving your phone. Go ahead and just do me a favor. So when the need comes up, right, so you're prepared fully, saving your phone right now is Blake Sloan Sold. Call me, right? Reach out to us. We'd love to help you with that. My team's working all weekend, hustling right now. And really cool, a couple of really cool success stories. This is an awesome one for Ruth, right? Ruth, and we had this a lot happen lately, but very proud of it. Ruth owned a very nice home in Myrtle Beach. After heartbreaking loss for her husband, decided it was time to begin a new chapter in life. She needed to move closer down to Florida to be with her son and daughter-in-law, where she'd be closer to family and get additional help she may need for any medical assistance. Before Ruth can make that move, though, she needed to get her home here sold fairly quickly, but most importantly, for the most amount of money possible. The challenge, though, check this out. She wasn't the only one trying to sell in her neighborhood. There's already 7 other homes listed for sale in her neighborhood when she reached out to us. And she knew that and was concerned about that. She couldn't afford to sell in the market for a long time waiting for the buyers because she wanted to get down there. But she also couldn't afford to sell it for anything less than what she needed. So thankfully, she reached out to us, myself and our team, after seeing us on TV, Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank. We met with Ruth, showed her exactly how our quick sale program worked, showed her how we had, massive amount of buyers, 80,000 plus buyers. And we showed her, we had hundreds looking for properties exactly like hers in real time. I came in, designed the custom marketing plan, launched a Go Marketing Blitz, professional photos, drove massive traffic, results incredible. Despite having massive competition, 700 houses for sale, she received a cash offer on her home in under 2 weeks, which is super cool. Even better than that, right? She just closed this past Friday, 1 month from the day her house was actually listed. She closed on it, which is super cool. That's a big shout out to Scott and our team. He did that. She has a massive amount of proceeds that she can now move on to help with her medical stuff and with her son and daughter-in-law. So big shout out to Ruth. Thanks for reaching out to us. Also, another story here. This is what I was talking about earlier. Jesse owned a home in Myrtle Beach, was trying to sell it so he could move to North Carolina and be closer to his 5-year-old son. He'd already found a condo before he ever called us. He wanted to purchase North Carolina, put it under contract, quit his job here at a law firm, and he thought everything's good to go. Unfortunately, the quote investor, cash buyer, who reached out to him that he found online, that claimed they're going to purchase the property, ended up being a wholesaler. Now, what's a wholesaler mean? Someone who ties your property up. They tell you we buy houses, all that stuff you see like on the side of the road or online. Most of those people are what they call wholesalers, meaning they'll give you a cash offer, but you don't realize is there's an out hidden in the contract. They can get out anytime they want. And so they're never going to buy the property. They have no intention of buying the property. They're trying to lock your property at a low price. Let's say it's worth $300. They'll lock it at $220. Then try to find a buyer who's another investor for $250. So they'll basically make the $30,000 spread without doing anything, without closing, but they don't have the money. So that's like a new thing, right? And they're doing it from out of state a lot of times, and they're cold calling you. So be very careful that they're not licensed in most cases that we've dealt with. And so check it out. Last minute, guess what they said? Oh, yeah, by the way, we can't close on it. Sorry about that. And we looked at it. They had no earnest money. They didn't put any earnest money out. There was no proof of funds, meaning the guy could never afford it if he even wanted to. And the reality is he had it out, built in the contract, escaped with no problem, which left Jesse obviously freaking out a little bit. He was in a serious bind. The seller said, hey, look, I'm going to give you 2 more weeks to get your property back under contract, or you're losing the condo and your earnest money, and you're back to square one. Thankfully, big shout out to Jesse, reached out to us. He'd seen us on TV and this radio station. We immediately showed him how we had a quick sale program. We had thousands of buyers looking for properties similar to just like his. Design a custom plan. Let's go marketing blitz, professional photos. Check this out. The results are incredible. Within 7 days, his home was under contract, cash offer, no inspection, and closing just in 3 weeks. And so he's super happy. Got way more money they had him under contract for previously. And that's with the quick sale program. And so he lost an entire month there. We're still able to get way more money than you had the first time. Get it sold quickly. So if you want to be a next success story, give us a call. 843-808 sold. How much time we got? 20 seconds. Hey, I'm here all day working. Our team's working all weekend. Call us. 843-808. So we also have a free tool. Go to blakesloan.com. You can see your property value anywhere in the country, but save me your phone, 843-808 sold. We'll see you back here same time next week.